Let me tell you a story. It's a story about a woman who spent her entire life running from a feeling she couldn't escape. She was a Harvard-trained sociologist, a world-renowned life coach, and a New York Times best-selling author. By all accounts, she was successful. She had helped thousands of people transform their lives. She had written books that changed the way people thought about themselves and the world. But underneath all of that achievement, there was a secret. She was terrified. Not of the normal things, not of failure or public speaking. She was terrified of her own mind. Because no matter how much she achieved, no matter how much she understood about the human brain, there was a relentless, gnawing anxiety that followed her everywhere she went. It was like a dark cloud that she could never quite outrun. And one day, she realized something that would change everything. She realized that all of her knowledge, all of her analysis, all of her clever strategies for managing her anxiety were actually making it worse. The analytical part of her brain, the part that was so valued in her culture, was the very same structure responsible for amping up her anxiety. 8-17-L-19. She couldn't think her way out of it. She had to find another way. That woman is Martha Beck, and that realization became the foundation of one of the most important books of our time, Beyond Anxiety. Now, I want you to think about your own life for a moment. Think about the last time you felt anxious. Maybe it was a work deadline. Maybe it was a difficult conversation you were dreading. Maybe it was just that familiar, nameless dread that creeps in when you're trying to fall asleep. What did you do? If you're like most people, you probably tried to think your way out of it. You analyzed the situation. You tried to find a solution. You ran through every possible scenario in your head. You tried to control the outcome. You did everything you could to make the feeling go away. And how did that work out for you? Did the analysis make you feel better? Did the worrying solve the problem? Or did it just pull you deeper into a spiral of fear and uncertainty? Here is the uncomfortable truth that Martha Beck wants you to understand. When you try to fight anxiety with logic, you are fighting a losing battle. The analytical part of your brain, the part that is so good at planning and problem solving, is the same part that creates anxiety in the first place. 8-17-L-19. It's like trying to put out a fire by pouring gasoline on it. The more you analyze, the more stories you tell yourself. The more you try to control the outcome, the more you realize how little control you actually have. And that realization just makes you more anxious. It is a feedback loop, a spiral that can increase your anxiety indefinitely. 7-9-L-10. You are caught in what Martha Beck calls the anxiety spiral. 7-10. And the only way to break free is to stop fighting and start doing something completely different. This is the central message of Beyond Anxiety. The opposite of anxiety is not calm. The opposite of anxiety is curiosity. And the pathway from anxiety to curiosity is through creativity. When you activate the creative parts of your brain, the anxious parts shut down. 2-15-L-16. 5-25-L-26. It's a neurological fact. You cannot be in a state of fear and a state of wonder at the same time. They are mutually exclusive. And if you can learn to shift your energy from fear to curiosity, from control to creativity, you can transform your anxiety into something else entirely. Something beautiful. Something that can actually propel you into a life filled with peace, meaning, and joy. 0-9-L-10. Let me explain how this works. Imagine you're walking through a forest and you see a small, frightened animal. It's trembling, it's scared, it's ready to bolt at any moment. What would you do? Would you yell at it? Would you try to analyze why it's so scared? Would you try to force it to calm down? Of course not. That would only make it more terrified. The only thing that works is kindness. You have to be gentle. You have to be patient. You have to show the little creature that it is safe. 6 Dagger 19-L22. Martha Beck says that the anxious part of you is exactly like that frightened animal. 6 Dagger 19-L20. It is a creature that needs to be soothed, not attacked. 6 Dagger 18-L19. You can't bash that little creature into a state of calm with logic or force. You can only calm it with radical kindness to yourself. 2. Dagger 6-L7. 6 Dagger 7-L8. When you stop fighting your anxiety and start treating yourself with compassion, something shifts. The creature stops trembling. The fear begins to subside. And in that space of calm, something else emerges. Curiosity. Once the creature is calm, you can tap into a different part of your brain. The creative part. The part that is responsible for curiosity, wonder, and imagination. 0 Dagger 15-L16. This is the part of you that wants to explore, to play, to ask questions. This is the part of you that is fascinated by the world. And when you activate this part of your brain, you shift your energy away from the anxious parts and form a completely different pattern in your brain. 6 Dagger 24-L25. You enter what Martha Beck calls the creativity spiral. 7 Dagger 15. It is the opposite of the anxiety spiral. Instead of spinning into fear, you spin into wonder. Instead of trying to control everything, you become open to possibility. Instead of feeling stuck, you feel inspired. And the beautiful thing is that creativity is not limited to traditional artistic pursuits. 6 Dagger 30-L32. It's not just about painting or writing or dancing. Creativity is something you can apply to everything you do. Parenting, leading, dressing, cooking, conversing, solving problems, moving through the world. 2. Dagger 16-L17, 5 Dagger 27-L29. Creativity is the act of bringing something new into existence. And when you approach your life as a creative act, anxiety simply cannot survive. To illustrate this, Martha Beck tells a story about a client she worked with. This woman was consumed by anxiety about her career. She was trapped in a job she hated, but she was terrified to leave. Her analytical brain had convinced her that leaving was too risky. She had a mortgage, she had bills, she had responsibilities. The stories she told herself were paralyzing. So Martha gave her a different assignment. She told her to stop thinking about her career and start thinking about what made her curious. She told her to make a list of the things that fascinated her, no matter how silly or impractical they seemed. The woman was skeptical at first. She thought it was a waste of time. But she did the exercise, and she started to notice something. She had always been fascinated by gardening. She loved the feeling of dirt in her hands. She loved watching things grow. She loved the quiet, peaceful rhythm of tending to plants. So she started spending more time in her garden. She started taking a gardening class. She started reading books about horticulture. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, something shifted. The anxiety about her career began to fade, not because she had solved the problem, but because she had stopped fighting it. She had stopped trying to control the outcome and started focusing on what brought her joy. And then, one day, an opportunity presented itself. A local nursery was looking for a manager. It wasn't a glamorous job. It didn't pay as much as her corporate position, but it was a chance to do what she loved. She took it, and for the first time in years, she felt at peace. She had transformed her anxiety into curiosity, and her curiosity had led her to a life that was more aligned with her true self. Martha Beck calls these fascinations squirrel passions. 5. Dagger 33-L35. They are the topics that fascinate you so much that the more you learn about them, the more you want to keep learning. 5 Dagger 34-L35. They are like a dog relentlessly chasing a squirrel. They don't have to be practical. They don't have to be productive. They just have to be yours. And when you follow them, they will lead you where you need to go. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds too simple. This sounds like you're just avoiding your problems. But that's not what this is. This is not about avoidance. This is about transformation. Martha Beck says that the goal isn't to eradicate your negative emotions, but to understand, learn, and grow from them. 3 Dagger 8-L9. Your anxiety is not your enemy. It is a messenger. It is telling you that something in your life is out of alignment. It is telling you that you are living according to someone else's rules. It is telling you that you have abandoned your true self in order to fit into a socially prescribed role. 5 Dagger 3 8-L40. And if you listen to it, if you approach it with curiosity instead of fear, it will show you the way home. Think about your own life for a moment. Think about the roles you are playing: the good employee, the perfect parent, the loyal friend, the responsible adult. How many of these roles are you performing out of obligation rather than genuine desire? How many of them are fueled by anxiety? How many of them are keeping you from expressing your true creativity? Martha Beck says that social roles stifle creativity. 5 Dagger 38. To excel in these roles, a lot of us do things that are fueled by anxiety. We get up early, we stay silent, we seek approval. 5 Dagger 39-L40. We play it safe, we follow the rules, and in doing so, we suffocate the very thing that makes us alive. What would happen if you started breaking those rules? What would happen if you started following your innate sense of curiosity and creativity? 5 Dagger 41-L42. Who do you think you might become? This is the invitation that Beyond Anxiety extends to you. It is an invitation to stop fighting your anxiety and start listening to it. It is an invitation to stop trying to control everything and start getting curious about what is possible. It is an invitation to stop living a life that is fueled by fear and start living a life that is fueled by creativity. It is an invitation to move beyond anxiety and into a new way of being, one filled with greater abundance, joy, and possibility. 8 Dagger 29. The opposite of anxiety, it turns out, is not calm. It is a wonderful new way of life. 7 Dagger 19-L20. Martha Beck wrote this book because she has been where you are. She has felt the weight of anxiety pressing down on her chest. She has lain awake at night, her mind spinning with terrifying stories. She has tried to think her way out of it, and she has failed. But she also found a way through. She discovered that the only way out of the anxiety spiral is through the creativity spiral. She discovered that the only way to calm the creature is with kindness. and she discovered that the only way to find your purpose is to follow your curiosity. The question is, are you ready to do the same? Are you ready to stop fighting your anxiety and start getting curious about it? Are you ready to stop trying to control everything and start creating something new? Are you ready to move beyond anxiety and into a life filled with peace, meaning, and joy? 1 dagger, 7-L8. The choice is yours, and the time to make it is now.